Welcome to Massive Passive Cash Flow, the podcast that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and let's start building your wealth. Here's your host, Gary Wilson.
Welcome back to the Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast. I'm Gary Wilson, your host. I'm glad to have you back on the show listening and learning. We've got a great guest today, James Massey from Georgia. And I've got to know James over the last, and I think it'll be 4 years now coming up. And we met at it was called a sprint event. And we already knew each other, but we hadn't met. We met in Washington, D.C. at an event. And, our blood brothers right from the start, man. The guy's got a heart of gold. He's smart. He's aggressive, but in a very professional and kind of a warm kind of way. So you'll see for yourself. First off, James, thanks for being here, man. I'm so glad to be doing this and show with you. It's I can't believe it took me all this time to think of it. Hey, I should have James on, man.
Man, I appreciate you having me on, man. Like, it's been a pleasure since we've been knowing each other and partnering up and seeing your growth and what you've been able to do and the fact that you're sitting here doing this right here and sharing back to the real estate community, man. Like, I mean, kudos to you because it's providing a whole lot of value.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. What's funny is it is a cultural thing, and I know there's lots of good brokerages out there. I've been in a couple of them. I've taught for them, and I would never knock them because they all have something that they're good at, or they wouldn't be around. So you gotta figure there's something to do when it's working, right?
Yep.
But the thing here is that's so unique is the culture of serving each other. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen in other places, but what I'm saying is this is, it's built into our DNA. It's built into the EXP DNA that when you serve others, just like Zig Ziglar said, whatever it is you want in life, if you just simply help enough other people get it, you'll get plenty of what you want too. And we live by that. So we actually get rewarded by doing something very good, which is serving others. And what happens, even if it's not part of your DNA to do that personally, once you get used to it here, it becomes part of your DNA. And then you really take off. Your growth is just like I've seen it happen 100 times since I've been here. And that's why I built this platform to not make it about me, but to make it about everybody else and help them, I'll be the guide and help them be the hero. And I tell you what, man, it's what makes the world go around. So we're going to talk about a little bit more about you though, not about me. So if we could, James, many of us weren't born saying, hey, I'm going to be a real estate agent. We grew up, we wanted to be firemen and policemen and astronauts and stuff like that. So what brought you into real estate? I mean, if you could describe that, where you were and what was that transition to give people some context, that'd be awesome.
Man, so it's a lot, right? I mean, if we go all the way back to the beginning, I mean, I read a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that book literally changed my life. I was in another business at that particular time, and I was getting burnt out with it. And I wanted a better way. So when I started reading that book about real estate investing, that's what kind of got me sparked into real estate. And I started off as an investor at first. I mean, I didn't get my license or anything like that. I just was buying some homes, renting some homes out, flipping a couple of homes, going down that path. I had my business that I had at the time that wasn't real estate. I had like a cinnamon glazed nut business. It was called the Nutty Bavarian, and I had like 5 stores inside of the Brave Stadium, which was Turner Field at the time. So what I was doing is I was making the money from that store, and I was turning around and I was buying properties. And this was like right around the time when the market was really low, and I was buying houses literally for like 10 to 20 grand, $30,000, which was insane, especially we're looking at housing prices right now. So, if I known what I know now, I would have bought way more. So, it's one of those things. But I never forget, I was in the car driving to the bicycle shop, and it was me and my wife. And I got a phone call, and it was the guy from the Brave Stadium, Turner Field. I was excited because it was like right before baseball season was about to kick in. So I'm thinking about starting making some money again. And the guy tells me that he's not going to renew my contract. So,
Ooh.
and when I heard that, I was just like, man, I put the car in park. My wife is quiet. I'm quiet. Do the whys and why nots. Got off the phone. I'm looking at her. She's looking at me. And the next thing you know, totally changed your life. I told her, I said, well, I guess I gotta get my license and go sell some real estate. So that actually
Mhm.
led me into my journey of actually selling to the public. Now I got my license before, but I didn't get it to sell real estate. I got it because I wanted to do my own deals. Um,
Yeah.
Agents that I was using at the time, I wasn't too happy with them. So, I mean, I was an investor. So most investors think they know more than real estate agents anyway. So I was no different in that aspect of it. I started figuring out different, thinking differently. When I got my license, obviously, when you start seeing all the stuff that agents have to do.
Hmm.
But that's actually, that's how I got into real estate. It was more of a situation where that business, the income went away, not necessarily that I wanted to go sell houses to the public.
Yeah. Well, well, I appreciate you sharing that because there's always an inflection moment for all of us. So people, again, we don't like before I had my license and I started investing. The last thing I wanted to do was get a license because I didn't have any respect for real estate agents. None of them were trained to help me invest, which was what I wanted to do. And what's also fascinating in your story is you started off doing some investing too, and you were using your business, right? The Nutty Bavarian, is that what it was?
Yep, that's what it was.
That's what it was, yeah. To fund your real estate investing. So both of us started off investing right before we got into being, full blown agents and brokers. Um, so now, did you carry that forward in your business? Um, did you keep the properties? Did you buy any more? Did you help other agents say, "Hey, look, I just want to show you. I got a couple properties here on the side, making some cash flow. I think you should do the same thing too." I mean, was that part of your model in the beginning, or did you just kind of move away from it, and move full blown in the brokerage?
Um, so I wasn't thinking of like I'm gonna help other agents to invest at the time, right? I was just more
Mhm.
so thinking like I need to go ahead and make some sales to make up that income that I was losing. So that's really the route that I was going into. It was like, all right, I need to go sell some houses. And I knew, once I made the income, I was going to start back investing again. And I did. I still bought houses. But, the funny part about it is like I found better deals when I got my real estate license. I mean, I just, when a deal come through, if I'm talking to somebody in the office or something like that, and I hear about it, I'm like, yo, I'll buy that, and don't pay me no commission. You know what I'm saying? You get to keep the money. I'll run that deal, and I
Yeah.
mean, I'll buy a property and I'll sell it, make 50 grand, 60,000 or something like that off of a flip.
Mhm.
And the funny part about it is like that agent had control of it. So it's like that agent could have been doing that for themselves. However, they didn't know that side of it. Um, but what I found though is like on the other part of it, which is the real estate sales, even though I was willing to share because like, I gave information, for people to ask me. But when I was asking questions about like, hey, how can I get listings? How can I get in front of more buyers? It was crickets. I didn't get a whole lot of help in that particular area.
Yeah.
So, a lot of searching and trying to figure it out on my own. Was the situation to get the real estate sales part of, but the investment part, I mean, that was just like second nature to me.
Yeah. That's awesome. So let's start to move forward now. In the years after you got your license, how long were you what I would call a solo agent? And then when did you start thinking about, man, I should build a team? And then talk about your journey, what led you to EXP. And then we can get into some other content after that. But I want to kind of figure out the team idea, even if you didn't do it, did you start thinking about it before you made your move, or is it after? And what were some of the inspirations for that?
Yep. So I was a solo agent, and I had some success as a solo agent selling houses. But one thing I never liked about the solo agent aspect of it was that If I sold houses, I got paid. If I did not sell houses, I did not get paid. If I worked, I got paid. If I did not work, I did not get paid. And my wife, school teacher, and my kids all are out of school in the summertime.
Mhm.
So I am very distracted in the summertime when most agents are out making money. We got
Mhm.
kid activities and all this other stuff going on. I made the least amount of money during that time. Now, when I made the most amount of money, when all the agents started to take time off, when school and stuff kicked back in, getting geared up for the holidays, I went to hustle mode, and that's when I made the most amount of money going into the first quarter,
Okay.
going that particular route. And plus, I had my other businesses before, like I said, Turner Field and things of that nature, where I had employees working, and I didn't have to be there the whole time. So I knew that that this thing right here wasn't going to be good for me the way I think and the way I operate. So when I got introduced to the team model, it just made sense to me because it's like now I have leverage. So it's
Mhm.
not where if I don't work, I get paid. If I don't work and I got other people that I'm providing training for, providing structure for, providing leads for, then and they're out going out and working, then I can still get paid. And I'm also helping that agent out because that's business that they would not have normally gotten. So that was my
Yeah.
process of switching from just a single agent over into, wanting to do a team. And I mean, I started off small. I mean, I got one agent at first and
Mhm.
then I went and got an admin. Eventually got a inside sales agent to make phone calls, book appointments, because I was the inside sales agent at first. I went to a conference, and that conference they was talking about what would you rather do? Would you rather go on a listing appointment or would you rather set the listing appointment up? And the example that he was talking about was just time. The time that if you're gonna drive, say like 30 minutes to an hour to the appointment, you're gonna be on that appointment for an hour, and then you got to drive 30 minutes to an hour back. You got to prepare for that appointment. You know what I'm saying? So that's like 3, 4 hour type deal
Mhm.
that you're losing. In that same amount of time, how many appointments can you set up for somebody else to do that same thing? If it's a
Yeah.
buyer, the same situation. So when I heard that, I was like, all right, I can definitely build a team. And that's what I started doing. What I found though, getting into the transition into EXP, what I found is like I did create a certain level of leverage
Mhm.
from having that team. But what I didn't realize is that the agents that were coming on and they were having success, at a certain point, they were looking to leave. So it was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm getting these agents in production, but I'm trying to keep them, but I'm having to like, replace the ones that's leaving. So
Mhm.
over and over again. So basically what I was doing, I was training my competition, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I had to be honest with myself. I never really wanted the agents to be me because if they became me, they were leaving. But at the same time, if I was a real estate agent, I didn't get my license to be on somebody's team. I got my license to be my own individual agent. So I couldn't necessarily
Mhm.
fault them for it. So I knew something was wrong with the model itself. Um,
Yeah.
Fast forward, EXP comes around, and now this opportunity is so great that I want every person to be me and to be better than me. So that person can
Mhm.
be on my team, they can actually come off my team. I can still give them everything that I've done to be successful and more, and it's still a benefit. And they can actually build their own team. So I've had 3 people that was on my direct team leave my team, start their own team, and I'm able to
Mhm.
help them to grow, build, and it's just a better environment in of itself. There's no glass ceiling. That's what it is.
Did you know that you can participate in class every Monday? We call it Monday Night Live, 7 p.m. Eastern, with me and dozens of other investor agents from around the country, in fact, the world. Every Monday, totally free. No selling, no recruiting, just straight up education on anything and everything in real estate. And we have a lot of good guests coming on once or twice a month, bringing in expertise on subjects like how to buy a house with crypto, Okay. How about them apples? What about AI? How's AI affecting our business? How about the metaverse? Blockchain processing. We're already using it in title work. So come on to Monday Night Live. Be ready to take notes and ask questions because it's live and engaging, and you get to participate by asking questions and meeting others. So we'll see you there. Go to realestatewithgarywilson.com, click on the resource tab, drop down, and you'll see Monday Night Live. And in there, you can see one of the most recent classes. But more importantly, you can register for class as many as you want going up to like the end of the year, I believe. So in any case, do that. We'll see you on Monday Night Live. Look forward to meeting you in person. Take care. Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up because sometimes it's hard for me to articulate this principle to people who haven't experienced it. And I'll give you an example. So in the old franchise model, which is, that's going to be Century 21, Coldwell Banker, Berkshire Hathaway, Remax, Keller, all of them. They all follow the franchise model. The franchise model is still here. It's always going to be here. It's always going to have its place in history. The problem with that model is it's inherent built-in competition. And I don't mean competing with people on the outside. I mean competing with people on the inside. It just is. It's inherent at design. We're here. So by the way, the old team model has always been flawed. I knew that as soon as I got into business, and I tried to approach the old brokers I was at, and I said, look, I have an idea for a new type of team design. It's a national team. And what it does is it exists in a different dimension above the franchise model. And of course, they didn't listen because they got all corporatized and said, you just got to do it this way and do it our way and do it that way. And you know what? Entrepreneurs don't like to be told no. So I eventually found my way over here. Thankfully, I've got a thick Irish skull. So I didn't listen the first time. I should have listened the first time because I could kick myself for not joining for 3 more years, But the point is here I realized I was building a national team, great success right out of the gate, man. We're like in 38 states now, just crazy. You can never do that in a franchise model. In fact, I just heard Keller Williams just discontinued their expansion team model because they can't make it work in a franchise model. And I've been telling people this for 4 years, and they're finally realizing what I was telling them was the truth. Here, it works because we don't have all those barriers. Number one, we don't have people telling us no. EXP never has said no to me. They've always said, let's see how we can help you make that work. But what I'm getting at is this. In addition to be able to operate across state lines and there's no regions and stuff like that, right? We don't have people saying people are glad to have us there, right? The point is building the team. It's like I'm incentivized to build my people up. In other words, again, I'm the guide and I'm making them the hero. I give them all the leads. They're their leads wherever they go. They can lead the team and take them with them. They get their own account on our lead gen system. I hand out leads myself personally, but really they're better off using the lead gen system because then they get all the leads they want all day long. I put all the sales, all the listings in their name. I don't put them in a team name. And here's the best thing of all is I use what's called the group structure, Group A and Group B. Group A is the actual formal team that EXP and everybody recognizes, a legally contractual recognized by the state team, right? Every state recognizes our team. We're in 38 states again. When they hit what I call the team split limit, it's a cap of my team that's not permanent. It's just they hit that level and then they go to Group B. We're no longer paying me that big giant team cap. They pay me a small referral fee on the leads. And I'll just tell you, it's only 5%. But they're not technically on a team anymore, but they're in the group. So we still work together. So what I've been able to do is figure out how I can build them up, gently nudge them out of the nest, let them fly on their own. We still are family. We still get together. We still meet every Monday night on Monday Night Live. We got our mastermind groups. They're still part of all of that. But I'm not killing them with that big giant split. They pay me up front because I'm coaching them. You know what? You know me, James. I coach the crap out of people. I'm riding them like a drill sergeant, man, But that's what you got to do with people sometimes, especially the new folks. So once they've earned their stripes, right, they get promoted. And at every other brokerage, they've tried to do something like that, but it never worked because it's the old franchise model where nobody wants to train their competition. That's like you said it perfectly. I wish I'd have thought of that myself 3 years ago. So here, we're actually rewarded for helping the next guy up, And even if it's not part of your DNA to do that, it becomes part of your DNA. And that's what keeps the culture going and growing. Just an amazing concept. Just brilliant design. It's called an organization model. And everybody listening, I think you should study that, study the franchise model, study the organization model. And I will tell you personally, I used to be part owner in the franchise model. My deal was when I did a merger years ago with one of the big box companies, I would help them launch 5 other offices, right? And then once I get into their culture, I realized, whoa, I don't want to launch 5 more offices with this culture. This is like, I mean, number one, you're not just paying 50,000 franchise fee. Yeah, you have to pay that to get a franchise, but you need like $250,000 just to get up and running just before you start making money. You don't even make money for a while. I'm like, that is the dumbest model I've ever seen. So I got the heck out of there as fast as I could, man. Came over here. I don't pay anything like that. I don't have any liability. I don't have any compliance issues because the brokerage provides all that for me. I sit on top of that model. I sit on top of the operations model, and we call it going to war, but we're say like a basketball game. We're on offense the whole time. Our team. The good thing about being an XP is when you have a team, you don't have to play defense. The brokerage does it for you. We play offense. We're in charge of scoring points, man. The old model, you got to play offense and defense is expensive. Because defense doesn't make you a profit, it takes your profit. Here, all profit, man. So, in any case, I'm so glad you brought that up. But so now let's move into what you're doing now. Now, when are you leading off with the team, like helping them do the marketing and learn how to do the business or not? Or are you leading off with coaching? Or because I see a lot of people lead off with coaching, like Gina. Gina Hansen on my team. That's what she's doing. She's building her brand. She's a success coach, one of the fewer than 100 on the planet, and she's in our group, man.
Love it.
But so tell me, what's your game plan? Is it leading with coaching, and then you go from there? I'll shut up and let you talk.
Yeah, man. So the biggest part of what I found is like we got all the tools, right? I mean, for an agent to be successful. I mean, it's here, technology, um, lead generation, AI, all that stuff is in place for an agent to be successful. But the biggest thing that what I found is a mindset situation. If
Yeah.
you can't change an agent's mindset, then it doesn't matter how many tools, they're just not going to hit their numbers. And, and they'll do this little thing, like people always talk about, like, hey, I'm gonna go to this brokerage because this brokerage provides this and that other brokerage provide that and all this other stuff. And it's like, man, when people realize it is not the brokerage. EXP is great and special, but it's special because it incentivizes agents to want to work together. That's the
Mhm.
special part of it. Now, you get a lot of different stuff like ownership, stock, things of that nature, the ability to get rev share, and one day not even have to sell houses anymore whatsoever, build a brokerage in the brokerage. But the magic sauce is the people. It's who you connect with and who you partner with, which matters. So,
Mhm.
so what we do is we work on mindset. We work on the coaching aspect of it. We work on, the agent understanding, they can deal with volume. I mean, that was the biggest thing for me, when I was growing my business. It was like, how to handle volume. How can I handle, 5 buyers and 5 listings? What that process looks like. So the ability to know that I can do that, that's another big thing as well. So if you start working on mindset and you start working on those aspects and helping them to skill up, that's been the best thing that I've seen that's worked for the agents. Like I said, tools and all that other stuff is already there. But what I find is like if I can change the mindset of somebody, they're going to use the tools. If I don't change the mindset, they probably won't use the tools, or they might
Yeah.
use it for a little while and then they'll
Right.
stop. I mean, this thing right here is the consistency of something is when you start getting results. I mean, both of us know Andre LaFountain.
Hmm.
Andre, is probably the most consistent person that I know. And he's going to keep doing things the same way every single time. I mean, he's like a robot, but he gets results
Yeah.
because of that. And you got to have that discipline part, but that you can't have that discipline without the mind being shifted.
Yeah. You're right. He's thank goodness he's my upline. He's 2 steps above me, and I get to meet him. I meet him. In fact, I'm meeting him this afternoon. We meet every Tuesday for a accountability session. And you're right. He's focused. He concentrates, and he's disciplined to keep doing it every single day. And as a result, he's one of the most successful people in the organization. And he just built a brand new, beautiful home down in Florida.
Yeah.
And I mean, I couldn't be happier for the guy. And he's a good guy too. That's the thing is he's actually got a good heart. He's a servant leader. He's one of those quiet types. But if you pay attention to listen, there's lots of gold coming out of that man's mouth,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it's so simple, and if what's interesting is that's sort of where I'm. So the model I'm following um, allows me to get in that position too. And I realized when I came in here, just like with real estate, I bought a lot of real estate over the years, and it really wasn't the end game, but it became the foundation upon which I launched other things. I had other businesses too, all related to real estate. But at the end of the day, here the revenue share is so profound. It like I mean I could already live off of it, and I've only been here. Well, my 4 year anniversary is coming up. The last place I was at. I mean, I'm not. Again, I should be careful what I say here, but um, there was not a single check that was enough to meet my monthly bills. And I was there 8 years, and I had 78 people underneath me. Here, I had 78 people underneath me probably by the end of the first year. By the end of the second year, I had made more than 26 times more in revenue share than I did in profit share at the last place. And I should have paid more attention in the beginning because I didn't. I was already conditioned to think, well, that's a side gig kind of a thing. And reality is it's retirement, folks. It's real retirement. I've had agents over the years in their 70s and 80s still working. The oldest student I had was 84-year-old. He wasn't working because he was trying to be busy and be social. He had to make money. And I thought myself, I'm not going to let that happen. My agents are going to invest in real estate. Now they got investment income, they got commission income, they got revenue share, and of course stocks. We got 4 ways to make money here with one model. I've never done that at the other big box companies. Again, I understand the franchise model. I used to be part of it. I'm telling you, everybody listening, it's by its design very limiting. Only the few at the very top make the millions, including the ones that have the profit share model. I do. With the last company I was at, over 8 years, I met exactly 3 people that have made over $1 million in total, not a year, but in total over years, right? Here, within the first couple of months, I'd met a dozen people that had already made or making over $1 million a year. I know 3 that are making $1 million a month. Yeah, revenue share, not even including commission and stock and everything else. That's just unbelievable, So I'm telling you, it not only can it be done, I'm watching it being done, and I'm doing it myself. So what I'm getting at is, you know, you build this team, and then you gradually let that go into the hands of the people you've been training. Let them enjoy that benefit of building their own teams, and then you are rising up, above, and that they eventually will too. I mean, it's just I'm probably going way down the weeds in this one here, but what I want to do, James, is what do you see for the future for yourself and for your people? For example, I started pushing people out of the nest. I said, look, you got leadership qualities. You just got comfortable because it's nice here. I get it. We're like a family. You're still going to be a family, but just like a child moves out of the home and moves across town, that's all I'm saying is I'm going to help you move and go build your own team. So we're doing that now, and I'm actually starting to attract other teams because it's just like the power of intention. But are you seeing the same kind of thing, or tell me what your vision is going forward, if you don't mind sharing that?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, I'm identifying my leaders. I mean, that's really what it is. Like find the
Mhm.
leaders, the people that's gonna rise up out of the, the I was gonna say ashes, but that's probably a bad analogy. But
Yeah.
the people that are rising, the cream rises to the top, right? I mean, so
Mhm.
it's more so just recognizing who the leaders are, and then giving them the tools in order for them to actually step up and blossom so that they can actually lead others. and then they can recognize their leaders for them to do the same thing. This thing is built upon helping other people. I mean, if you don't have
Yeah.
a attitude of, hey, I want to help the next person to grow, I want to help the next person to build, then I mean, to be honest with you, probably not going to work as good. You got to
Yeah.
be investing in the people. Somebody said like the best thing that you can do is invest into another person, right?
Amen.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's really what I've been focusing in on. It's just like really just doing that aspect of it, and also building an organization. Like and I say this when I'm talking to folks, right? So I've been
Mhm.
here with EXP for like 5.5 years, right? Well, probably a little bit more than 5.5 now, almost 6. I'm literally looking for myself about 5.5 to 6 years ago.
Mhm.
Somebody that is hungry, smart, know there's a better way to do real estate. They're looking at where they are and they're looking at the top people there and they don't like the
Yeah.
direction because you can always tell like where you're gonna go by just looking at the people around you. Like you see
Mhm.
your destiny from there, right?
Mhm.
It's not hard, it's not rocket science. So that person is looking for a better way. And that's what I was. I was looking for a better way. I saw the writing on the wall, and we all know agents that are 60, 70 years old plus still popping lot boxes. And it's not
Mhm.
because they want to, it's because they have to. So if,
Yeah.
if you know, so if you're an agent and especially if you're a team leader, there's no better place to be, in my opinion, than EXP because this is where the top agents come to thrive. But
Mhm.
because the top agents come here to thrive, it pulls everybody else up because those top agents are also sharing. They're sharing what they've been able to
Yeah.
do, and we're recreating other top agents.
Yeah.
It's never happened before. Um, EXP number one in real estate volume and sales. Like, I mean, you don't have that. I know a lot of people they say like, oh well, I talked to a guy yesterday and he was like, man, I was a little turned off with about EXP when I first heard about it because I always heard it was a recruiting company. And I was like, oh man, if we're a recruiting company, we're a recruiting company that sells more houses than anybody else. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, you can't call it a recruiting company if you're selling that much volume. No, houses are
Yeah.
being sold here, and the reason being is because the top people are here, and that's what, like I said, that's what I'm
Exactly.
focused on: building up my leaders and getting them to the point where they can actually start leading other folks.
Yeah. I agree 100%. It's, winners want to be around other winners. And that's why so many winners have come here. I know, I remember the first conference I went to, 2017 in Lauderdale. That's where I ran into Brent Grove. I already knew him because I taught at his old market center and we were in a mastermind group together for a bit called GoBundance. It was really awesome. And, uh, and I remember thinking, if that dude's coming over, there's something to this because, he's a smart guy. These smart people generally have more money and more successful. And he was both of those things. But the thing is, you can always tell you always can tell which company is the one you want to be at because all the other companies are making adjustments to compete with that one company. And that's what's been happening now for several years. And I'm watching, I'm thinking, holy cow, man, everybody's making adjustments to compete with us. And our model, and we keep improving it. I mean, they just did something with revenue share where they opened up, the first three lines where there's no qualifications to get revenue share. You just, whatever you people you bring in three levels, 100% free and clear money, man. You know, and and I'm already there, so I'm like, hallelujah, man. It's good. Let's. I'm going on vacation. Actually, I got to be careful because I want to travel all the time now, and I don't want to. You can't leave the ship, without a captain for too long. But actually, I shouldn't say that because wherever I go, I can still keep up with things. That's a beautiful thing about today's technology. You remember I went to Germany at the end of the year with my family, my dad, my brother, and sister for 12 days. Didn't skip a beat. In fact, I was going to say I didn't skip a beat. You know what's funny, James? we actually made more money when I was away. They're like, and everybody's telling me, yeah, go away again, Gary, go away. And that really works, you know. So it's just a really great place to be. And I got, and the guys, I get to meet people like James, you know, Levi, Dan Hilsman, you know, Andre, Albie. I mean, all these guys I've never known before. I already knew, you know, Jay and Michael from the old Craig Proctor days. Not like we were, I mean, I knew who they were. But now we get to talk on a regular basis. That's the thing is the leadership here. I call Brent Gove, you know, he answers the phone. He calls me, you know, even when he's on vacation, the guy calls me. You know, I just did an interview with Glenn Stanford, interviewed me on the Expansion podcast 2 weeks ago. I'm just floored. I'm just a regular guy, and here the CEO, the leader of the organ. Well, now he's just handed off, but the founder of the company knew enough about me to put me on his podcast. I just find that just absolutely phenomenal. And I'm just a regular. I'm believe me, I'm far from being the top of the heap at EXP. There's so many people doing way better than me, which is another thing I like is I like being uncomfortable from the standpoint that I'm no longer the big fish in the pond. I went from being the number one person wherever I was to now being, you know, way down the pack. But I like that because I, like you said a few minutes ago, James, you can see where this is going by looking at your leadership, right?
Right.
And I see where it's going. I'm like, bring it on, man. So, hey, I know we're way over the half hour mark, but any words of wisdom, James, you know, leave it people. How can people get a hold of you? Because I know people are going to want to ask you, man, can I do what you're doing? Can you show me how to do what you did? And that's what this podcast is all about. Is it's not about me. It's about you, James, and the other people I'm interviewing, helping them build their models. You know, but words of wisdom and how can people get a hold of you? You know.
Yeah. So, I mean, words of wisdom, I would say, I always make a joke about myself, right? Like who you connect with matters. And you know, I always say I was a C student in high school, but I
Mm-hmm.
occasionally got an A and B depending who I was sitting next to, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know how to copy, right? So, you know, get with somebody, a person that is already where you want to be at. And I don't care what you got to do, grab hold to them and copy what they were doing, and you'll get the results a lot faster than trying to figure it out on your own. I mean, that's the biggest thing. And then the second part of it is like if you're a producer, and I mean, you don't even have to be a high producer or whatever. If you're a producer, you have an obligation to look at this model because and if you're a team leader, even more so because you know you start a team or broker owner because you start a team or you had a brokerage because you want to create leverage. There's no other leverage that's created bigger opportunities than what EXP has done. It gives you three things, right? It's giving me income freedom, it's giving me time freedom, and the third part of it, which is location freedom. You can do this anywhere around the world, like Gary was just talking about. I mean, I'll be happy to, you know, share my journey with anybody, just like I know Gary will as well. You jump jameshmassey.com, jameshmassey.com. Just jump on there. There's some testimonials on there. It's my story of why I joined EXP on there as well. And there's also a button you can click and jump right in my calendar and have a conversation with me.
Nice. Well, I appreciate that. So everybody's jameshmassey.com, Massey. And I can vouch for James personally because I've known him now for almost 4 years. And I'm sure you can tell on the podcast, he's an authentic, genuine person, the real deal, just regular guy that does good. It's funny because people look at sometimes somebody will say, man, I never hear that guy before. He's like an overnight sensation. But if you really dig deep, you find out there's a real human being behind there that's probably been hustling for quite a long time and started off with humble beginnings and worked their way up and just has that never quit attitude. We never, funny thing is about goals is I set goals all the time. I'm huge on goals setting and planning, but to me, it's not attaining the goal. It's like the true measure. The true measurement is what am I going to do after that one? Because I don't have, you know, it's not like I'm saying I'm going to have $100 million net worth and I'm done. No, because if I hit 100 million, I'm going to want a billion. If I hit a billion, I'm going to want 100 billion. You know, and again, the money's just a measurement of success. But as an entrepreneur, our DNA dictates to us that we constantly learn and grow. And one of the best ways to do it is through serving others. And this organization, EXP, is the perfect platform to do it. It's an ingenious design that allows us entrepreneurs, it's self-perpetuating in a very positive way. And there's a lot of things in human history and human nature that can be self-perpetuated. And it's some good and some bad. This is totally on the upside, man. I mean, the upside potential is tremendous. The downside risk is minimal or non-existent. Like in my case, I have no risk. You just can't do that in any other kind of organization. That's why we're now being copied. So,
Yep.
but anyways, James, thank you for doing this, man. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you listeners listening to this. If you could, please leave a review for the podcast. We really appreciate it. We want to know what you think, but also your review is our currency. That's what makes the podcast world go round. So thank you for doing that. God bless you and your families. We will see you on the next Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Massive Passive Cash Flow. Be sure to go to realestatewithgarywilson.com to join our community and start building wealth today.